Hello everybody, welcome back to my remake project. Today I'm going to teach you how to play Sid Meier's Civilization VI beginner style. We're going to be playing a single player world and we're just going to play a game. Now you play now, it basically just auto sets everything for you for the base stuff, but I'm going to show you how to create a game as well. Here's the game menu. We get to choose which leader we want. For this, we're going to choose China, the Mandate of Heaven, just because I think he's cool. We'll go on Prince, which is the base difficulty, but Settler being easiest and Deity being harder. This is all the difficulties you can choose from. We'll do standard game speed. This, I actually don't really use this that often, so you don't got to worry about it. We're just going to settle with the simple base map continents. It'll just spawn in 2 large continents that we could play on, and the map size will be relatively small. We'll be playing standard rules, so you don't really have to worry about any of these extra game modes or whatever. While it's not important right now, these bonuses right here in the bottom are pretty important to know. Each leader has their own unique one, and typically they also have their own unique building. However, you have to progress the game to unlock them anyways. Okay, and we'll have our own unique start. Here is our settler, and here is our warrior. Our warrior are melee combat units. Among other units, there's a lot of combat units. And then we have the settler, which will help settle our first city. Don't even worry about moving around for your first beginning turns. So you want to settle your city on the first square you get on. After you do that, you'll click this cogwheel, or you could click the city and then this cogwheel down here to start producing. You can build buildings or people, and then later you'll have different types of buildings to choose from, like world wonders, districts, and city center buildings. Right now, I think the first best move in any game is to start with a builder. That way, you can start harvesting all the area near you, so you can start producing things faster. Right now, we only have 1 person in the city, so it's going to take a while to build this builder here. But in 7 turns, we'll gain 1 new population, which will make us 2 out of 6 down here. All of these statistics you don't really need to worry about, but I suggest you do some investigating while everyone else takes their turns. Then, all you want to do is move this around. Just explore the map and make sure there's no hostile units in your area. Then, for research, this will help you progress your technologies. You want to start with animal husbandry, mining, or pottery, depending on what's around you. We have a forest and a mine around it, and some stone around us. We have a forest and some stone around us, so mining would be a good option here. However, we also have some wheat here, and we have some rice, which will help us with irrigation, which is further on the tech tree. As you can see, unlocking technologies unlocks more technologies. This irrigation will help us harvest this butter, which, because of its purple background, is a luxury resource. Luxury resources keep your people in your city happy, which keeps production up, and things will go by faster. Yellow resources like these two are bonus resources and provide bonus of either food or production or gold intake. Because there's not much around us, we'll start with mining. Right here is our civics. We'll always start with code of law. It's not even a choice, but it progresses into future decisions on the civic tree. Then, after you're done with your turn, this is the button to end your turn. I'm essentially doing this tutorial as if you knew what you were doing in the game or how the game mechanics work. But some other things you might need to know are science, which is how fast this science goes, culture, which is how fast your civics research, faith, which you don't really need to worry about in your beginning game unless you're going for a religious victory, which would be impossible to start worrying about unless you chose a specific leader. And in any case, you don't need to worry about it. If you settled your city on a coast, like an ocean, you'll gain a boost for this research sailing. But if you're also looking for religious victory, I would actually start researching astrology before any of these if you have a start as boring as this one. And then finally, gold and gold intake. The gold is how much you have, and gold intake is how much gold you're getting. Things will cost you gold, and things will get you gold. My number 1 strategy in this game, and I recommend it to everyone else, is boosting your gold as much as possible. If you have an infinite amount of gold, you don't even need to worry about anything else in the game, because that allows you to purchase infinite buildings, and infinite small buildings, I should say, and infinite units, people, troops, builders, settlers, etc. You can essentially expand your empire on infinite gold. Of course, infinite gold isn't possible, but you can always try and reach for the moon. Maybe you'll land among the stars. This up here is your envoys. You won't have to worry about it because I'm only talking about the beginning game here. So we're just sending our warriors as we progress through each turn. The beginning game is pretty quick. More bonus resources. And then here, right here, we see some borders. While it's not an enemy, it could be a potential ally. So this is the Vatican City. As you can see, our civilization has a colored background with either black or white borders. Every other civilization, like us, will be the exact same. However, there are certain border colonies like this, which are called envoy or city-states. You could tell that they are because they have a black background with a colored border. Their colored border depends on what type of city-state it is. In this case, this would be a religious city-state, which makes sense since the Vatican is a religious city-state in real life. But there are other ones too, like militaristic, economic, production, scientific, and culturistic as well. We don't need to worry about them, and in fact, we don't even need to worry about that general direction. We're looking for enemies and just scouting out the land for our next city that will begin. This right here is a tribal village. You want your units to go onto it to claim its rewards. Other players can steal this from you since it's a one-time use per game only. However, city-states cannot, since city-states are not players. They are bots. I'm in a solo match right now, so everybody is technically a bot. However, city-states can't win the game, and they're always bots even if you are playing multiplayer. Finally, our last major resource, red resources, or strategic resources, things like horses. These things are specifically used for militaristic things. Horses will eventually let us spawn in cavalry, but if we don't have horses, we can't use cavalry. So we've encountered our first barbarian, and we saw that they came from right up here. This is a scout, so it's not actually supposed to be attacked. It's not supposed to attack. We might want to attack it, but because we're crossing a river here, it would give us a strategic disadvantage. Even still, the scout is weak enough for where we have a victory. However, I'm not worried of the scout because it's not meant to attack. These red units will be barbarians. These are also not players, but they are always hostile, and there's no such thing as peace between them and you or any other player. We'll move here, and the tribal village gave us a pretty sweet reward. That would be builders. This right here is a barbarian camp. this is where the barbarians spawn. For your next few turns, you'll probably want to start building troops so you can take this out. The longer you have it, the worse the problem will get, and they'll start feeding off of your resources. Eventually, they'll overwhelm you and you'll lose. So, your goal for the beginning of the game is to start expanding your city by using these builders here. I got lucky and I have 2 builders, but typically you'd only have 1, so you'd have to choose wisely. I'll get my next research done, and it'll be pottery so I can get the sugar here. While I'm not going to show the entire combat, I do want to show some combat. The shield symbol here tells me that they are fortified. That means they have a defensive buff. If I attack them, I would do worse than if they would attack me. By clicking this shield symbol here, I can also fortify, meaning if they attack me, they incur more damage than I would. This also allows me to heal it, say if my troops are injured. These units are spearmen, however, and in any case, they would be stronger than my warriors. However, I know that they won't attack just out of free will, so I'm going to try and chip down their damage. Because builders are not warrior units and they are simply civilian units, the only civilian unit, along with settlers, this scout can freely steal my builder and run away with it, converting it to their side. However, the barbarians don't think that's a great idea for some reason, probably because we are on a lower difficulty, and have decided to go away. We will keep attacking them, but if the barbarians want a higher difficulty, they would likely attack back and instantly kill them. On the bottom right here, you can see the possible outcome we will incur. Even still, we'll prevail. Because we will lose the next time we attack them, we are not going to, since it is our only troop. We'll instead fortify and hope that we heal fast so we can go back to attacking. Meanwhile, our builders will continue to build the city. For us, we have so many builders that we can actually move on to creating more warriors. Or, because we have more than 1 population now, we can make a settler. The very settler that we spawned in with, we can make more of, but it takes out 1 population of our city. That's because it will create more cities. And the more cities we have, the more production we can do. The more warriors we can churn out. The more science, culture, and gold we can make. Now that our civic is finally completed, we can start putting in government policies. The best government policy, in my opinion, is discipline for military and God King for economic. Well, even if you're not going for religious victory, faith can be pretty useful, and you'll want to incur as much of it as possible as quickly as possible, up until you get your pantheon, which is when you get 25 faith. After that, it's give or take on whether it's useful or not. However, considering you only have 1 city, urban planning and survey aren't really that useful, and you'll get way more useful military and economic policies later down the line. Now that that's completed, we'll decide which one to take next. Considering we've completed these 2 mini objectives, we have gotten a boost, which means they'll take half as long. However, craftsmanship has better economic and military policies than we have currently, which means we'll start researching that instead. We'll remove this feature wood so it gives us bonus production, which boosts the time it takes to produce a settler. We'll continue fortifying, especially since the scout might back him up. After 3 uses, our builder dies, and we're down to 1 builder left. Actually, for our person, we actually get 1 more builder unit charge. So builders have 4 units for us, but typically they would have 3. But just like that, there are other ways you can boost it. There are far more aspects in this game, and there are even more aspects that can boost all the other aspects per aspect, if you catch my drift. After pottery, we'll want to do irrigation. That's because most of this isn't quite useful to us now, except for possibly writing. As you can see, the barbarian camp spawned in another unit. The longer it takes for us to take out this barbarian camp, the more units they'll summon. Our warrior units will continue to fortify, since now we're dealing with 2 very strong units. After our warrior gains so much experience via exploring and being attacked and attacking, we'll be able to promote them. Promoting them recovers 50% of their health at most, up to the maximum, and gives it a certain boost that you can decide. In this case, I chose more combat strength against melee and ranged units. That would be offensive. Our warrior died. We were so close. And that is the game. That is pretty much it. Well, pretty much it. There's a lot more to the game, but if you do basically that for the beginning of your game, you'll start off very well, no matter where you are, really. The worst thing that can happen to you is you have multiple of these barbarian camps around you, but in which case I would just say instead of producing a settler here, you'd protect yourself better. And because we have gold, we can actually do even more, given a couple more turns. You might also be able to bribe other players in your game, computer or player. Not these guys, other civilizations. However, unfortunately, I didn't meet any, so I didn't get to show you that. That will be the end of my make assignment tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching.